Okay, so we found a p-value of 0.046. We rejected the null, so this means we have statistical significance. But the real question then is, do we have practical significance? Is the difference or the effect or the treatment really worthwhile for our consideration? Luckily, this is pretty easy to find. At least when we're doing these t-tests, all we want to know is how many standard deviations was our effect? How big was our effect in terms of standard deviations? So in our case, we were given a 164, and the population mean was a 119. So we can just subtract, let me show you the formula bar here. Okay, so we're just going to see how far away we were, the sample from the actual population mean. And this will typically be away from your null hypothesis. Remember, we're considering this population mean our null hypothesis mean. But we want it in terms, we want this difference in terms of standard deviations, so we divide by that. Now usually we'll have to use a sample standard deviation, or maybe even a pooled sample if we have more than one sample. We're usually not going to know the population standard deviation, but in this case we do. So we'll divide there, and we get an effect size of 1.27, which in most fields of research is huge. Typically 0.8 or above, 0.8 standard deviations or above for a Cohen's d is considered a large effect size. Now you might wonder, we just barely got our p-value under the alpha, so how is it that our effect size was so large? Well, statistical significance and practical significance are two totally different things. As you increase sample size, your statistical significance it'll be easier and easier to show statistical significance. Your p-value will drop. But a low p-value means that you're more confident of there being some kind of treatment effect. It doesn't at all tell you how strong that effect is. That's a totally different calculation. In this case, we got a very strong effect size and a p-value that was just barely under the alpha because we were dealing with small samples, our sample size of 5. If you get statistical significance with a small sample, which is very hard to do, but if you actually do it, it means that you probably have a large effect size. You'd go through and do the calculations anyway, but typically if you can show a statistical significance with a small sample, that means that you have a large effect. The other main thing I want you to take away from this video is this was kind of getting some data on who actually watched all of the videos this week. And so if you can send me an email with the word, didn't think this through, let's go with the word broccoli in it, in honor of Ellie's eating. So email me right now before you forget with the word broccoli in the subject. Don't worry about spelling. I can't spell broccoli either. And that way I'll know that you did watch these videos. Okay, and the good news is after you get through this reading section, the rest of the week I think will go a little more smoothly. And certainly after you make it through this week 9, it's a downhill slide from here. There's a lot of fun stuff in the last few weeks.